What's up, you bastards? Got some interesting times here, isn't it? So, I don't want to keep this too long, and I do want to try to upload more often, and especially in the wake of this, there's a lot of pertinent information that I can give on my end. There's a lot of information going out there about where this came from, what the future holds, the politics and everything, and I can get into that, in other videos and everything. Right now, what I want to do, though, is I basically want to give an idea of what's going on in the trucking industry, because there's a lot of horse shit going around in our well-esteemed mainstream news media that's not painting an accurate picture of just exactly what the hell's going on out here. And like I said, a lot of this other speculation of where this is coming from and where this is all leading, I can speculate on all that, but that's not really my wheelhouse. I can tell you what I've heard, I can tell you what I believe over others, but I'm out here, wheels on the ground, an over-the-road driver, so I know what's going on out here on the road. When all this shit first started happening and the panic buying set in, and just as the lockdowns were all coming in, everybody's talking about, the shelves are empty, the stores are running, everything, we're running out of food, the food's all gone, there's no more food, we're running out of food, the supply chains are breaking down. No. What happened was a bunch of dum-dums who, by all means, should have had some kind of a stockpile of something. I mean, it's just common sense. They call people who want to prep and everything a bunch of conspiratorial nuts and all this shit, and now look, the thing is, you can't rule anything out. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you think, you can't rule anything out. The loved ones can screw you over. Things like this, the economy can fail. People, your country, your people running your country, supposed to be protecting you, can fuck you over. The possibility is always there. You can never rule any of that out. So, why people haven't at least had some amount of food in the house is beyond me. Most people can't even fucking cook anymore. I just saw an article today about there's an increase on Pinterest or wherever the fuck it was, where people are trying to look up how to clean their bathroom sink. Are people that disconnected? Yes, they are. They're that fucking disconnected. So, you have to understand how the supply chain works. Everything runs on just-in-time delivery, meaning whatever gets into the stores, what hits its end location, is brought there just in time and just enough quantity to suffice until the next load of whatever it is gets in, and maybe with a day or two extra. A lot of times when you see where they've got sales on certain stuff, you can tell they've got a surplus on stuff because they got to get rid of it. It's hitting its expiration date, it's old stock, it's out of season. Some of these seasonal items and stuff like that with holiday markings and stuff like that, that's just general economics, it's just general, the way things go. When you have a run on a particular item or a particular group of items, all of a sudden, that just-in-time delivery gets bogged down, I guess you could say. It's basically like if you have a bucket and you're dripping water into it and you've got a small hole in the bottom of the bucket and you're dripping enough water into the bucket to keep the level of water in the bucket at what it's losing at the bottom. That's basically what the supply chain is. And all this shit that come along and panic buying and all that was basically like just punching a big hole in the bottom of the bucket. And now, from what I've been hearing, a lot of this panic buying has eased up. There's still some of it going on in certain places, and even bigger cities and stuff like that, more populated areas, they're having a harder time keeping stuff on the shelves. But basically where we're at now is we're trying to patch the hole back up in the bucket. We're trying to dump a little bit more water into it at one time to try to get it back up to the level. Now, when you only have a certain capacity of flow going into the bucket and an almost limitless capacity going out of the bucket, that can become a problem. And this is where all this supply chain shit talking about, the supply chain's breaking down. No, it's not. As a trucker, we have more work and more product to move than we've ever had. They've suspended the hours of service for most essential carriers, basically an essential cargo, medical, food, stuff like that, these essentials. So basically, from what I'm understanding, and now this may just be my company wasn't the first to just jump on this and go, yeah, we're going to do this. We got the notice probably the 17th, 18th of last month, said that the rules have been lifted, but that we're not going to do it yet. And then about 4 days ago, we all got a message, at least those of us who qualified, been here for more than 90 days and have a safety score of 4 or 5, out of 5, that if we needed the hours, if we needed to get the product that we had on our back, that we could, on a day-to-day basis, call in and request. So what we've got is basically a 2-hour extension on our 11-hour driving period, and a 2-hour extension on our 14-hour total on duty day driving. With 10 hours, you still have to take your 10-hour break. You still have to take your mandated 30-minute break every 8 hours as well. And now what the big thing is that the 70-hour per 8 days has also been removed. So as long as you're still taking your 30-minute and your 10-minute, and you don't go over now the now 13 and 16-hour driving and on duty, respectively, you can run now up to 80, 90, 100 hours, whatever the case may be, to get this product moving. So that right there tells you that nothing's breaking down. It's actually picking up. A lot of people, when they hear this breaking down shit, like, all of a sudden, things are being stopped, things are being halted, nothing could be moved. They don't know what to do. No, we're trying to fill that bucket back up with the capacity and the ability that we have, and we're trying to turn it up and force, more water, more, productivity out of the trucking industry was already strained, and now, I got my beef on that too, but I've been hearing ever since I started almost 3 years ago that there's a 250,000 driver shortage in the industry, and out of about 3 million to 3.5 million truck drivers out here on the road. So you're talking, it doesn't seem like a lot, but at the same time, I look at it this way. I prefer to drive at night. I'm a night driver. I don't like the sun in my eyes. I like being able to go from A to B without being molested by traffic, without being molested by the way stations and everything like that. It's nice to just drive at night, cruise, listen to podcasts, music, whatever. It's more relaxing. It's a lot less stressful. Even the major cities and stuff like that, you encounter a lot less traffic. And the other thing is that you have an easier time of finding parking as the sun is coming up, because most drivers drive during the daytime. By the time it's 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, 8 o'clock in the evening, everybody's done tried to bed down and go to sleep. You can see that in the truck stops with the shower, the waits for the shower and everything. Sometimes, you're waiting 3, 4, 5 at a time outside the showers, waiting for, and sometimes it's like that in the morning too. When people are getting up and they're getting their morning shower. Just depends on who you are and how you prefer to do it. But see, if there's a shortage in drivers, then that should mean that there's parking everywhere. And I get that there's infrastructure problems and everything too. They should be opening up a hell of a lot more truck stops in a lot more areas. Every time they try to open up a truck stop in a certain area, sometimes you get, these news reports or whatever, you hear people around the area, oh, we don't want, that whole, not in my backyard, I don't want that there. And not realizing, we need places to park. And places like Chicago, some places like Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Laredo, different things like that. The Bay Area in, probably the Bay Area, but fucking the shithole of California, Southern California, SoCal, all that area down there. A lot of these places, you can't find a place to park unless you pay. So they know you got to park, they're gouging money. And they know it. So I don't see where we have all this driver shortage. We have a shortage of good drivers out here. One company, we've had a lot of these reports of these trucking companies being, laying off people, going under, these 50, 60, whatever truck deals. And I don't know what's going on internally in those. I don't know exactly what the freight they were carrying. I know Celadon was one of the last ones that I saw that went under. I really don't know the internal politics of a lot of these places. What I have heard is one driver got on the forums of a trucker app and was saying that their company reduced their fleet, I think from about 100 or 80, something like that, down to about 40, 50 trucks. And all they had to do was just stop hiring people. Because most of them quit or weren't driving safe and had their licenses pulled or was pulled off the road, pulled out of service, whatever the case may be. So, we do have somewhat of a problem here in this industry with getting people worth a shit. So this kind of brings me back to when all this shit started. Now, I know, a lot of you know Hammerhand, and I like to watch his stuff and everything, and some people, some people don't like him, some people do like him. I listen to a lot of different people. I just try not to get involved in the drama. But the company that he works for, which, I don't know the company, but he says it's out of Louisville, Kentucky, and they run car parts and different stuff like that. And I'm guessing they're moving them from, my guess is from like the manufacturing. Somebody runs them in from the manufacturing, and then he runs them out to either the stores or from whatever plants that make them, and then he runs them to the plants that assemble the assembly plants. Well, a lot of these assembly plants are idling right now, and automobile manufacturing and stuff like that is one of those industries that is taking a hit right now. But he does local, day cab, local deliveries, so he's only out, he's out on the road. He's probably out on the road, 11, 12 hours a day, something like that, maybe a few hours more, maybe not driving the entire time, and he's back home at night. I have noticed a reduction in day cab drivers in local, not a whole lot. FedEx, Amazon, UPS, Expo, they're still running. They're still running like hell. I have heard another driver say something about Walmart was needing a lot of like regional and over-the-road drivers to start pulling their trailers because a lot of their drivers were just throwing their hands up and saying, no, I'm going home. And I've heard a good chunk of the industry, even in regional and dedicated and over the road, there's a good handful of them just throwing their hands up too and going, no, I'm going home. I ain't dealing with this. And it kind of pisses you off because it's like, aren't you abandoning your post? Aren't you, we need people out here moving and everything. This is where a lot of the problem is. And this gets me back, it's all winding together. I'm incoherent in my thoughts and everything, but they all tend to wind back together eventually. So we got a lot of these people not willing to put in the time, not willing to put in the effort and everything, knowing we're needed out here more than ever. And so I'm seeing these news reports, I'm seeing these things out here, of course, your favorite, mainstream media and, political and smear rags, to quote Sargon, the dirty, dirty smear merchants, saying a lot of stuff about, how tough of a time it is for truckers out here and how all this and that. Despite all the lockdowns, despite all this and that, I mean, we already have kind of a tough go at it as it is because, most of us are away from our families or away from home. Can't do a lot of the things we want to do. These vehicles are so damn big. You can only get into certain places and go certain places. And, if you're lucky like I am with my company, they give you personal conveyance. So if you get the okay from a truck stop, you can disconnect your trailer, lock it all up, secure it, and bobtail to, like, say, a Walmart or something to pick up some groceries. And sometimes even the Walmarts will let you park overnight in their lots, depending. You have to check, and there's been reports out here, too. I don't know how true they are. I don't know how prevalent they are of them booting some of the truckers, some of the trucks and everything, and then they wake up and they got a damn, boot on their damn truck, which I think is bullshit. But, the thing is, if you see there's signs up everywhere, I mean, you have to use common sense too. If it's a pretty big Walmart and it's easy on and easy off the road, chances are you're going to have an all right time with parking there. If it's one of these where you got to get off an exit, go down, 2 miles one road, another mile another, and another, yeah, that's not really one you want to try to park at. So you got to use common sense on that. I'm trying to up a little bit because I don't want to capture people, although, trucks and everything going by. So there's problems like that already on the road. We have to deal with a lot of stuff. But then, my cousin calls me up, last week, and I talk to him about every other day or so, saying, there's truckers on the news and everything talking about how hard of a time it is, and all the restaurants are closed, and they can't get nothing to eat, and they can't shower, and they can't do this and that. So that's total horseshit. Everywhere I've been, every truck stop, especially the major chains, maybe some of these small mom and pops, some of these small mom and pops don't even stay open 24/7 anyway. They close like 10, 11, 12, so if you busted for a shit or a piss, you're fucked out of luck. Unless they provide a shitter outside of Johnny House for you to go in. But, the major chains, the Loves, Pilot, Fly and J, Petro, TA, Sap Brothers, a lot of those, they're still open. Now, most of them all of them have the restaurants in them and everything. You can't eat in. You can still order your food, and you got to take it out to your truck. And that's what one of the drivers was complaining on that news report my cousin saw. We got to sit and eat in our truck. So, I mean, I guess if you're the type that, I don't know. I eat in my truck all the damn time. I always, unless it's the buffet or whatever, but the damn buffet, the food really isn't all that good or all that fresh. And you get in there, and depending on what time of day, by the time you get the buffet and get your damn drink, it's damn near fucking $20. You'd be better off going and getting 2 gut grenades off the roller grill of fucking Loves and just sitting in your truck and eating those. I mean, 2 for $3.33 and get you a drink to wash it down for $1. Shouldn't be eating that shit anyway, but, when it comes down to, certain economical choices got to be made. But a lot of the places that are around these truck stops, especially a lot of sit-down places, they are closed. What ones aren't closed, they're also doing takeout. You can get DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever, from your truck. I've done it before all this shit happened. You just put the address of the truck stop in, and then the description of whatever. You tell them what, your truck number, your truck color. They get around, you see them, you flash your lights, or they call you and you tell them where you're at and everything. I mean, you can get food. You can still get food. These trucks have to get moving. You have to shower, you have to shit, you have to, eat. Excuse me. And so things aren't breaking down. Like I said, in these truck stops, some of them, all of them have stopped. Like, a lot of them have their free refills and stuff if you bring your own cup in. What they're doing is they're stopping the whole bringing your cup in, and they're just, as long as you got a credit on your points card or whatever, they just pour you then they're pouring the fountain drinks and the coffee and all that stuff for you. Even there for a while, the roller grill, the hot dogs and stuff, they stopped, and then they started up again, but only with an attendant back there, serving it to you. So you can still, there's a guy walking by here real quick. I'm kind of, trying not to capture too many people. So, nothing is breaking down. And I saw another report earlier today about how, he couldn't get parking, and he couldn't this, or no, he could get parking, and the parking lot was just so extremely empty, and the people wouldn't let him in the trucks. This was a mom and pop up in frickin' Pennsylvania. I think I've been to that place. That place is a hole. The thing is, there are still times where you can't get a parking spot. Like, I still have trouble getting a parking spot even in the midst of all this. This is not like, it's a desert out here. Now, around the holidays, starting around Thanksgiving and going to about a week or so after New Year's, you know what? You can go roll into any truck stop that's not in a major city, but you can roll in any damn truck stop about 12 o'clock and midnight and find you a space. Like, there are times out here where the drivers just aren't on the road, and this isn't one of them. Hell, my company's even suspended, time off and all that. Like, sorry, we need you out here on the road. You can't just be going the hell home. I mean, I don't, like I said, I guess if you want to just give them the finger and go home and whatever, fine, you can, but you won't have a job to come back to. I don't necessarily know the legality of all that, but at the same time, why in the hell would you want to? Unless you got some real problems, some real issues at home you got to deal with or whatever. Maybe they can give you an extenuating circumstance to get home for an evening or for a day or something, but, they're really hurting. They've suspended the hours of service, like I said. They're suspending, or extending for people who need their DOT health inspections or their health their DOT physicals, their licenses renewed, different stuff like that. What they're doing is basically saying, because of all this, if your license is expired out here while you're out on the road, as long as you get some letter from your company or whatever, you gotta, there's some shit you gotta do. But basically, they'll extend or whatever until, because a lot of the DMVs and everything are closed. You can't even go in there to get your tags or title or anything like that renewed. So, they're even trying to call up retired drivers and people who, make exceptions for, certain other drivers to try to do some stuff. We're not running out of food. We're running out of competent and capable people to run this shit. And like I said, not only that, But with the big strain, with all the panic buying and everything, now we've got to turn up the volume, turn up the output, and it's just, it's barely there. We are working at it. Some of the major places that I pick up for, Tyson Foods, Smithfield, Purdue, different things like that, Johnsonville, stuff like that. Despite the restaurant industry tooling down and them having to slow and halt production on a lot of like industry specific products, their other output is like 50% plus now. They've had to ramp up their usual output on this stuff by over half. So they're outputting now at a time and a half, almost 2 times their usual capacity, trying to get food back on the shelves. So there's work out here, there's stuff out here to be moved, and the trucks are moving, and they're doing everything they can to accommodate us out here. So don't believe the lies, don't believe the panic, don't believe the bullshit. This is from a guy who's wheels on the ground, see it from eye level. Now, I've had a few people ask me about, have you seen, any major unrest, any big major lockdowns, checkpoints? No, I haven't. Are they out there? I don't know. I haven't seen them. This military and the tanks and all this shit rolling through and everything, have you seen it? No, I haven't seen it. Is it out there? I don't know. Probably not. Some of this shit, could just be shit that's already getting moved anyway and people are panicking. It could be something's on the move. The way this government and the way, all this shit's going and everything, I wouldn't put it past them. I think it's a good idea that if we're, facing a pandemic and facing, shit in the hospitals and everything and all that, the Army should move in with their medical units because, they have their MASH units, their mobile Army hospitals and stuff, and they're well equipped for, the logistics and all that. I think they should come in and help take, set up in stadiums and different stuff like that to help people. As far as this, guns on the street, martial law horse shit, that's not a good idea. Is that ever, they do that, is that ever going to go back to normal after all this? Who's to say they ain't going to pull that out of their ass again? Do I think the social distancing and the shelter-in-place orders work? Yeah, I think to an extent. Do I think it should be mandated and, you get a fine and all that? No. Do I think people should be doing it just because it kind of makes sense? Yeah, there's something to be said there. But there's a lot of people out here not following that. There's just about as many vehicles on the road that aren't commercial motor vehicles running around doing shit as I've ever seen. Maybe a slight decrease in traffic in certain areas. But to be honest with you, I'm not seeing much of a difference. I don't think people are really following this shit, to be honest with you. Not like they could be. Not that they, the mandatory, mandated government, whatever. I mean, practical and pragmatically, for the good of themselves and the good of everybody else type of shit, they should be. And a lot of them aren't doing it. I mean, I don't, some people just can't be alone with themselves, I guess. Some people just, I don't know, maybe it's, they start learning too much about themselves if they stay alone by themselves for any amount of time. I have no clue. So, that's about all I know and about all I can think of at this moment in time. I'm trying to wrap it up. I'm sitting here at a cold storage facility in Illinois, and this whole row of trucks, this whole row of bays beside of me is completely full. I mean, they've got people, in and out, in and out, in and out. There's a whole big long section here and everything And this section here is full up. I think some of the other sections are like for inbound stuff. There's not many trucks over there, and I don't know how they've got this. Some of these places, they hold different stuff in different halves, different different temperatures and stuff. Some's just refrigerated fresh, and some's frozen. I'm on the frozen side. So, there's a lot of that, over here, it's full. Over there, maybe where a lot of the stuff inbound is, maybe they have different hours of the day where they have inbound, and then outbound later on at a different time. Each place runs things differently, but this place is packed. And this stuff here will be going to Iowa, to Hy-Vee, to their grocery store chains. And I believe this is going to be frozen meat and stuff like that too. So things are out here moving. Things are out here cooking and burning like usual. I don't know where all this shit is as the supply chain's breaking down and blah, blah. Most of the shit I'm hearing is petty, pissy complaints from drivers who don't want to work or won't want to do nothing. Drivers just up and leaving, going, fuck it, I don't want to drive because I don't want to get exposed to this. And, yeah, you have a high risk of exposure and everything, but, dude pulling in there, he kind of got in on me. You have a high risk of exposure. Yeah, I don't want to be just filming people's trucks and shit. I caught a few in there. Sorry about that. But, yeah, you have a high risk of exposure. But, like the truck stops have shit paper. Luckily, there ain't been no drivers just unroll a whole roll and walk out with it. Sand sanitizer is a little bit hard to find for personal use, but most of these truck stops have hand sanitizer dispensers on the walls and everything, so when you go in there you can rub down real quick and everything. Where I was at in Bolingbrook here in Chicago, looked like they made a bunch of their own or rebranded or something and was selling them. They've got gloves and masks and stuff for people to buy now that if they need it. Our company and everything, the terminals are all getting stocked up with hand sanitizer, gloves, towels, wipes, stuff like that. They're trying to get a hold of masks and stuff. They're even talking about making their own, all this stuff. So, we are being looked after. We are being cared for. And we do have work. So I would just say hold tight because, at least from the logistical standpoint, things are easing up. Now, I did the smart thing quite a while ago, and I canned a bunch of chili and soup, and I got MREs, and I've got ramen, and cans of soup from the store, and, dry beans and rice, and I'm going to have to get water here in the next couple of weeks. But if I didn't have to buy another morsel of food from any place ever, I got enough food on this truck to last me 4 months. I always keep food on this truck because you never know. You never know where you're going to get stuck. You never know if you're going to get stranded. You just never know. I advise once all this is over, get into canning. Look up some different foods and stuff like that. Start learning how to cook. Start learning how to cook in your trucks if you're a driver. Get you a power inverter. Get you one of them shitty little, $12, $15 rice cookers from Walmart. Them things are just like a pot on the stove. Anything you can cook on a stove, on a pot, in a sauce pot at home, you can cook in one of those. I've got microwave, George Foreman grill, toaster oven, crock pot, pressure cooker, one of them multi-pots and everything. I'm set. And I have been for quite a while. You've got to think smart. You got to be on your toes. You gotta know shit. Also, and I don't know how this is going to end up making me look in the eyes of people, whatever. There's a lot of reports coming out that say if you can get a hold of it, vitamin C and zinc, couple of the things you should be, keeping in everything, keeping in your system. Of course, wash your hands and all that. Keep your hands off your face. All that other good shit, Try to open the door with your feet if you can. Open the door with your shirt or whatever if you can, if you can't. Just general hygiene. Shower. Do what you gotta do. Try to eat. Get you some sleep. All that stuff. We need drivers out here. We need competent people out here. Like I said, I got my ideas and thoughts about where this came from and the political and socio-economical situation. I might go over that a little bit later, but right now this was just for trucking. So, rambled on a little bit longer than I wanted to. Yeah, I'm not really good at wrapping shit up. Yeah, fuck it. I'll try to post up something later on and keep everybody abreast of what's going on. So, till then, take care, you bastards. I'll talk to you later.